Hi everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep, and we are looking at the first RC passage from the OG13 RC chapter. This is the passage which has questions 1 to 4. So first we will read the passage. As we read the passage, I'll spend a lot of time understanding the passage or explaining to you the things that I would have focused on if I were reading the passage, because the key thing with RC is always the understanding of the passage itself. The first sentence of every passage is the most important, and the first sentence here says, biologists have advanced two theories to explain why schooling of fish occurs in so many fish species. The reason the first sentence is very important is because it tells you typically what will be the topic of the entire passage. Like, I know this passage will have something to do with biology and fishes, specifically something to do with schooling of fishes. Furthermore, I am also now consciously looking for the two theories that the opening sentence talks about. So biologists have advanced two theories to explain why schooling of fish occurs in so many fish species. Because schooling is particularly widespread among species of small fish, both theories assume that schooling offers the advantage of some protection from predators. That's all the first paragraph tells me if I'm making a passage map mentally. The first paragraph talks about two theories and one common link between the two theories, that one main function of schooling is to protect from predators. Here it obviously helps if you know what is the meaning of schooling of fish. If you've done collective nouns, you would know a group of fish is called a school of fish. So schooling is nothing but when fish move around in groups. As I said, even if you don't know that, you should be fine, but that knowledge definitely helps, because then you can understand why it is more useful for small fishes. So you see, this kind of understanding has to come about as you read passage. I mean, it helps if you can understand things at this level. So it's a very easy passage, obviously. It's the first passage. How difficult can it get? The second paragraph says, proponents of theory A dispute the assumption that a school of thousands of fish is highly visible. Okay, so now it's talking about supporters of theory A, and they are disputing some assumption that a group of fish which has thousands of fish is highly visible. Here it also helps to understand that who would have that assumption. Obviously, if proponents of theory A have this assumption, then opponents of theory A would probably make the contention that if there are so many fishes in a group, it actually makes fishes more visible, which actually counters the protection from predators part. So you see the kind of understanding I'm getting. I'm not just reading sentences on the face of it. I'm actually trying to understand how it's connecting. When I read the first sentence, proponents of A dispute the assumption that a school of thousands of fish is highly visible. I mean, you should ideally wonder who's assuming this. Where did the assumption come from? There's nothing in the previous paragraph that talks about any such assumption. So you should spend a minute thinking about it. So okay, the earlier paragraph basically told me that one function of schooling could be to protect from predators. And here, what will be the assumption then? The assumption of the opponent must be that if there are so many fishes in a group, then they'll actually become more visible to the predators. But proponents are actually countering that. So now I'm curious to see how they are countering that. Experiments have shown that any fish can be seen, even in very clear water, only within a sphere of 200 meters in diameter. Okay? When fish are in a compact group, the spheres of visibility overlap. Thus, the chance of a predator finding the school is only slightly greater than the chance of the predator finding a single fish swimming alone. So you see now, when I read all this, something that the experiments have shown, and when fish are in a compact group, the spheres of visibility overlap. I did not waste my time thinking, now what is the sphere of visibility and this and that, because I immediately noticed this word does. Does means a conclusion is coming. And the conclusion is that the chances of a predator spotting a fish individually or the chances of a predator spotting a fish in a group, there's not much difference between the two. That's basically the moral of the story that I've taken out from all those sentences. So focus on these words. If you see a does or a hence, it might be a good idea to actually focus on these, because it makes a lot of things clear to you. Okay, reading on. Schooling is advantageous to the individual fish because a predator's chance of finding any particular fish swimming in the school is much smaller than its chance of finding at least one of the same group of fish if the fish were dispersed throughout an area. So you see, now it actually says it makes sense for a fish to be in a group of several fish, because then the chances of a predator catching that particular fish obviously go down significantly. So for the fish it makes more sense to be in a group than to move around individually. That's basically what the second paragraph says. So second paragraph basically counters an assumption which opponents of the theory of protection from predators would have put up. That's basically what happened in second paragraph. The third paragraph says, however, critics of theory A. So now some criticism of A is coming about. However, critics of theory A point out that some fish form schools even in areas where predators are abundant and thus little possibility of escaping detection exists. Okay, interesting. They argue that the school continues to be of value to its members even after detection. They advocate theory B, the confusion effect, which can be explained in two different ways. So now we are moving on to theory B, which is basically continuing from A, because it explains something which theory A fails to explain, which is even if the probability of getting caught by predators is very high because of the number of predators around a school of fish. Even in that case, fishes prefer to school. Why is that? That will now be explained by theory B using something called the confusion effect. So now I'm reading on to see what is this confusion effect. Sometimes proponents argue predators simply cannot decide which fish to attack. That's basically your confusion effect. Okay, reading on. This indecision supposedly results from a predator's preference for striking prey that is distinct from the rest of the school in appearance. In many schools, the fish are almost identical in appearance, making it difficult for a predator to select one. The second explanation for the confusion effect has to do with the sensory confusion caused by a large number of prey moving around the predator. Even if the predator makes the decision to attack a particular fish, the movement of other prey in the school can be distracting. The predator's difficulty can be compared to that of a tennis player trying to hit a tennis ball when two are approaching simultaneously. Okay, great. So that's basically the last paragraph, which talks about how theory B explains why fishes prefer to school and how schooling actually protects them from predators. So you see, both the theories are actually explaining that. A is also explaining that. B is also explaining that. B is actually also explaining something which A fails to explain. Right? So before going to the questions, first thing we will do is paraphrase the entire passage, one paragraph at a time. So the first paragraph talks about two theories, why fishes typically school, and both the theories have a common link, that the idea behind schooling is to provide protection from predators. The second paragraph explains one of the theories, which is theory A, and how it helps in protecting from predators. The third paragraph introduces theory B, and the fourth paragraph explains theory B and the confusion effect and how it protects fishes from predators. That's basically the entire passage for us. Before you go to the questions, always be clear on the purpose of the passage in your mind. And when I say purpose, is it positive, negative, or neutral? This is most definitely a neutral passage. The author of the passage is not supporting any theory or any proponent. So he's just describing, explaining a few things. So it's a neutral passage. And with that thought process, we will now look at the questions given to us. So the first question that you can now see on your screen is, according to the passage, theory B states that which of the following is a factor that enables a schooling fish to escape predators. So before I go to the options, I will think in my mind, theory B was basically talking about the confusion effect. So confusion in two ways. One, the predator cannot decide which fish to attack. Second, even if it can decide which fish to attack, it gets confused by the movement of the other fish. One of those two should be the answer. So A says the tendency of fish to form compact groups. I don't think the size of the group had anything to do with it. B says the movement of other fish within the school looks perfect. That's one of the reasons. So that should be the answer. C says the inability of predators to detect schools. There's nothing in the passage that says that predators are not able to detect schools. The problem is in deciding which fish to attack, but not in the detection itself. The ability of fish to hide behind one another is useless nonsense. E says the great speed with which a school can disperse is also absolutely useless. So B is the correct answer. A very easy question. The moment you see the phrase according to the passage, you should immediately know that you are looking at a detailed question, the answer to which will always be written in the passage.